The forgotten signal. Dr. Eliza Chen stared at the computer screen, her eyes wide with disbelief. The data streaming across the monitor was unlike anything she had seen in her 15 years at SETI. As the lead scientist of the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence program, she had devoted her life to listening for whispers from the cosmos. But this was no whisper. "Jenkins," she called out, her voice echoing through the quiet laboratory. "Get in here now." Her assistant, a lanky graduate student with perpetually disheveled hair, came running. "What is it, Dr. Chen?" Eliza pointed at the screen, her finger trembling slightly. "Look at this signal. Tell me what you see." Jenkins leaned in, his brow furrowing as he studied the data. After a moment, his eyes widened. That's impossible. It can't be." "But it is," Eliza said, a mix of excitement and trepidation in her voice. "We're receiving a signal from Pioneer XI. Pioneer XI, launched in 1973, had long since been given up for lost. The probe had completed its primary mission of studying Jupiter and Saturn before sailing off into the depths of interstellar space. NASA had lost contact with it decades ago, assuming it would continue its lonely journey into eternity, a silent ambassador for humanity. But now, against all odds, it was speaking again. "The signal's incredibly strong," Jenkins muttered, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he ran diagnostics. "It's like something's amplifying it." Eliza nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "And look at the data structure. It's nothing like the original Pioneer telemetry. This is something new, something alien." The implications of her words hung heavy in the air. If Pioneer XI had encountered an alien civilization capable of understanding its message and sending it back, the consequences for humanity would be staggering. "We need to verify this," Eliza said, snapping into action. "Run every test we have. I want to be absolutely certain before we take this up the chain." For the next 48 hours, the SETI lab was a flurry of activity. Scientists from various departments were called in, each lending their expertise to analyze the mysterious signal. As the tests came back one by one, the excitement in the lab grew palpable. "It's real," Eliza announced to her assembled team, her voice barely above a whisper. "We've just made first contact." The news spread like wildfire through the scientific community. Within days, observatories around the world were turning their attention to the source of the signal, hoping to glean any additional information. Eliza found herself thrust into the spotlight, giving interviews and briefing government officials on their discovery. But as the initial excitement began to wane, a sense of unease settled over Eliza. The signal, while clearly artificial, defied their attempts at decryption. Its complexity suggested an intelligence far beyond humanity's current capabilities. "What if they're not friendly?" Jenkins asked one night, voicing the fear that had been gnawing at Eliza's mind. She sighed, rubbing her tired eyes. "That's why we need to crack this code. Knowledge is our best defense." As weeks turned into months, progress on decoding the signal remained frustratingly slow. But then, on a crisp autumn morning, everything changed. Eliza burst into the lab, waving a printout. "We've got it." The key was in the original Pioneer plaque design. They used it as a Rosetta Stone. The team gathered around as Eliza explained their breakthrough. The alien message, once decoded, was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. It spoke of a vast, ancient civilization called the Orcs, who had encountered Pioneer XI in the depths of space. But more importantly, it contained a warning. The Orcs were not alone in the galaxy, and not all alien species were benevolent. Humanity, in its infancy of space exploration, had unknowingly attracted the attention of a hostile force. As Eliza read the final lines of the translation, a chill ran down her spine. The message concluded with coordinates and a date, the projected arrival of an alien fleet less than 2 years from now. "My God," Jenkins whispered, his face pale. "What do we do?" Eliza straightened her back, a look of determination settling over her features. We do what humanity has always done when faced with the unknown. We prepare, we innovate, and we fight. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge and its finest hour. Decoding the message. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on Dr. Eliza Chen as she stood before the hastily assembled panel of world leaders. The United Nations Security Council chamber buzzed with tension, every eye fixed on the unassuming scientist who bore news that would change the course of human history. "Ladies and gentlemen," Eliza began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "The message we've received from the Zorax civilization is clear. We are not alone in the universe, and we are facing an imminent threat." A murmur rippled through the assembly as Eliza detailed the contents of the alien transmission. The Zorax, an ancient and technologically advanced species, had intercepted humanity's Pioneer XI probe. They had deciphered its message and, in turn, sent back a warning of grave importance. The Zorax speak of a hostile alien force known as the Vrkazi, Eliza continued. This species has a history of targeting and subjugating developing civilizations. According to the message, they detected the electromagnetic signals from our early space exploration efforts and are now en route to our solar system. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices, fear and disbelief evident in every word. It took several minutes for order to be restored. "Dr. Chen," the Secretary General spoke, his voice cutting through the chaos. "What do the Zorax suggest we do?" Eliza took a deep breath. "They've provided us with advanced scientific knowledge, far beyond our current understanding. The message contains information on energy manipulation, gravitational field theory, and faster-than-light communication. The Zorax believe that if we can decipher and apply this knowledge quickly enough, we might stand a chance against the Vrkazi." The next few hours were a blur of questions, debates, and hastily formed plans. By the end of the session, a global initiative had been launched. Operation Starshield. They called it humanity's last line of defense against an alien invasion. Back at her lab, Eliza found herself at the head of an international team of the brightest minds on Earth. Physicists, engineers, linguists, and strategists from every corner of the globe worked tirelessly to unlock the secrets hidden within the Zorax message. "It's like trying to teach quantum mechanics to a medieval blacksmith," Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant Japanese physicist, grumbled one late night. "We're missing so many fundamental concepts." Eliza nodded, understanding the frustration. "That's why we need to approach this from every angle." The Zorax didn't just give us the answers. They gave us a new way of thinking about the universe. As weeks turned into months, breakthroughs came in fits and starts. A team in India cracked the basics of Zorax energy manipulation, leading to a revolution in power generation. Chinese engineers made strides in gravitational field theory, paving the way for new propulsion systems. And in a small lab in Kenya, a group of linguists and mathematicians unraveled the principles of faster-than-light communication. But time was not on their side. With each passing day, the Vrkazi drew closer, and the weight of humanity's fate pressed down on Eliza and her team. It was Jenkins who made the crucial connection. Sleep-deprived and caffeine-fueled, he burst into Eliza's office one morning, his eyes wild with excitement. "The Vrkazi ships," he exclaimed. "I think I know how to detect them." His theory, based on a complex interaction between gravitational waves and dark matter, seemed outlandish at first. But as Eliza and the other scientists pored over his calculations, a spark of hope ignited. Within days, a prototype detection system was assembled. As they activated it for the first time, the lab fell silent, every breath held in anticipation. A soft ping broke the silence, then another, and another. On the large screen dominating the lab's wall, tiny points of light appeared, moving slowly but inexorably towards Earth. "My God," Eliza whispered. "It's them. The Vrkazi fleet." The room erupted in a flurry of activity. Data was collected, analyzed, and transmitted to military commands worldwide. For the first time, Humanity had eyes on its approaching enemy. But the elation of this breakthrough was short-lived. As more data poured in, the true scale of the Frakazi threat became apparent. Their fleet was vast, comprising hundreds of ships, each larger than anything humanity had ever constructed in space. Eliza felt a cold dread settle in her stomach. Despite all their progress, despite the incredible leaps in technology they'd made in mere months, would it be enough? Could humanity stand against such an overwhelming force? As if sensing her doubts, Jenkins appeared at her side. "We've come this far, Dr. Chen," he said softly. "We can't give up now." Eliza nodded, squaring her shoulders. He was right. They had achieved the impossible already. Perhaps they could do it again. "All right, people," she called out, her voice ringing with determination. "We know they're coming. Now let's figure out how to stop them." As the lab plunged back into a frenzy of activity, Eliza allowed herself a moment of reflection. In the face of this threat, she had seen humanity at its best, united, innovative, and unyielding. Whatever the coming days might bring, she knew one thing for certain: they would face it together. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin. The Zorax Ultimatum. As Earth grappled with the impending Frakazi threat, a new development shook the foundations of Operation Starshield. It came in the form of another transmission, this time directly from the Zorax themselves. Dr. Eliza Chen stood in the control room of the newly constructed Starshield Command, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching Frakazi fleet. When the Zorax signal came through, it sent ripples of surprise through the assembled team of scientists and military personnel. "This is unprecedented," General Laura Hawthorne, the military liaison to Operation Starshield, muttered. "Direct contact from an alien civilization." Eliza nodded, her heart racing. "Let's see what they have to say." The message, once decoded, was both a beacon of hope and a chilling ultimatum. The Zorax, it seemed, had been monitoring Earth's progress since their initial warning. They were impressed by humanity's rapid advancements, but concerned that it might not be enough to repel the Frakazi invasion. "We offer you a choice," the message read. "We can intervene directly, using our superior technology to defeat the Frakazi and protect your world. However, this protection would come at a cost. Earth would become a protectorate of the Zorax Empire, subject to our laws and governance." The alternative was stark. Face the Frakazi alone, with only the knowledge the Zorax had already provided. If humanity emerged victorious, they would be recognized as equals in the galactic community. If they failed, Earth would fall to the Frakazi, likely resulting in enslavement or extinction. The control room erupted in heated debate. Some argued for accepting the Zorax offer, seeing it as the safest path to survival. Others, including General Hawthorne, bristled at the idea of trading one potential overlord for another. "We've come too far to simply roll over now," the general insisted. "We've made incredible strides. We should trust in our own abilities." Eliza found herself torn. The scientist in her was fascinated by the prospect of direct contact with the advanced Zorax civilization. But another part of her, the part that had driven her to study the stars in the first place, yearned for humanity to stand on its own. "We need to take this to the UN Security Council," Eliza finally said. "This isn't a decision we can make alone." The ensuing global debate was fierce and divisive. Nations argued over the best course of action, with alliances forming and dissolving as quickly as they were made. All the while, the Frakazi fleet drew ever closer. In the end, it was a speech by an unexpected source that tipped the scales. Dr. Adebayo Okafor, a Nigerian physicist who had been instrumental in developing Earth's new defensive capabilities, addressed the United Nations. "We stand at a crossroads," he began, his voice resonating through the assembly hall. "On one path, we have safety, but at the cost of our autonomy. On the other, we face great danger, but with the promise of charting our own destiny." He paused, his gaze sweeping across the gathered representatives. "I am reminded of our ancestors, who first ventured out of Africa to explore the unknown world. They faced predators, harsh climates, and countless other dangers. But they persevered, driven by an unquenchable spirit of adventure and innovation. That same spirit has brought us to the stars, he continued. It has allowed us to decipher alien messages, to leap forward in technology at an unprecedented rate. Are we to abandon that spirit now, at the moment of our greatest challenge? His words struck a chord. Nation after nation voted to reject the Zorak's offer of protection. Humanity would face the Vrkazi threat on its own terms. As Eliza listened to the final tally, she felt a mix of pride and terror. They had chosen the harder path, but perhaps the one truest to the human spirit. With the decision made, Operation Starshield kicked into high gear. The prototype technologies developed from the Zorak's information were rushed into production. Massive space stations, equipped with gravity manipulation engines, were launched into orbit. New weapons, capable of disrupting the very fabric of space-time, were mounted on hastily constructed defense platforms. Eliza found herself working around the clock, coordinating teams across the globe as they prepared for humanity's greatest test. The weight of their decision pressed down on her, but she drew strength from the unity and determination she saw all around her. One evening, as she took a rare moment of rest, gazing out at the star-filled sky from the observation deck of Starshield Command, Jenkins joined her. "Do you think we made the right choice?" he asked, voicing the doubt that had been nagging at Eliza's mind. She was silent for a long moment, considering the question. Finally, she turned to her friend and colleague, a small smile on her lips. "I don't know if it was the right choice," she admitted, "but it was our choice, and that counts for something." Jenkins nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Together, they stood in silence, watching the stars and knowing that somewhere out there, both danger and destiny were racing towards Earth. The final countdown had begun. Humanity's ingenuity unleashed. The day of reckoning arrived with little fanfare. One moment, the skies above Earth were clear. The next, they were filled with the imposing silhouettes of the Vrkazi fleet. The alien ships, vast beyond imagination, blotted out the sun in many parts of the world, casting long shadows of fear and anticipation across the planet. Dr. Eliza Chen stood in Starshield Command, surrounded by a flurry of activity as final preparations were made. Holographic displays showed the positions of Earth's defenses, a network of space stations, satellites, and ground-based installations that represented the pinnacle of human achievement and the legacy of Zorak's knowledge. "All systems are online," Jenkins reported, his voice tense but steady. "The gravity well generators are functioning at full capacity." Eliza nodded, her eyes fixed on the main screen where the Vrkazi fleet loomed. "Activate the quantum entanglement communicators. I want real-time coordination between all our defense platforms." As her orders were carried out, a hush fell over the command center. Years of preparation, months of frantic work, all leading to this moment. Humanity's future would be decided in the next few hours. The attack, when it came, was overwhelming. Vrkazi ships launched a barrage of energy weapons, each blast powerful enough to level a city. But they hadn't counted on humanity's new defenses. The gravity well generators, inspired by Zorak's technology, but perfected through human ingenuity, sprang to life. They created localized distortions in space-time, bending the trajectory of the Vrkazi weapons. Shots that would have devastated Earth instead curved harmlessly into space, or in some cases, back towards the alien fleet. "It's working," General Hawthorne exclaimed, a note of surprised jubilation in her voice. "The gravity shields are holding." But the Vrkazi were quick to adapt. They adjusted their tactics, attempting to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer numbers. Smaller craft began to slip through gaps in the gravity fields, making their way towards the planet's surface. "Deploy the Nexus swarms," Eliza ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding around her. Across the globe, launch bays opened, releasing clouds of tiny, gleaming drones. These were the Nexus swarms, another fusion of Zorak's concepts and human creativity. Each drone was no larger than a hummingbird, but together they formed a collective intelligence, adapting and reacting faster than any individual could. The swarms engaged the Frakazi fighters, surrounding them in shimmering, ever-shifting clouds. They worked in perfect unison, using their combined energy outputs to disrupt the alien ship systems and force them out of the sky. On the ground, the scene was no less intense. Frakazi forces that managed to land were met with resistance, unlike anything they had encountered before. Human soldiers, equipped with powered exoskeletons and weapons that manipulated fundamental forces, stood their ground against the alien invaders. In the streets of New York, Tokyo, Lagos, and countless other cities, humanity fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope. Every inch of ground was contested, every moment a testament to human resilience. Back in Starshield Command, Eliza and her team worked tirelessly to coordinate the global defense. The quantum entanglement communicators allowed for instantaneous strategy adjustments, giving humanity an edge in responsiveness that the Frakazi struggled to match. Dr. Chen, Jenkins called out suddenly. I'm detecting a massive energy buildup in the Frakazi flagship. I think they're preparing to use some kind of superweapon. Eliza's mind raced. They had theorized about such a weapon, but had hoped they wouldn't have to face it. Route all available power to the primary gravity well generator, she ordered. We need to create a singularity. The plan was risky, bordering on insane. They would attempt to create a temporary, controlled black hole between Earth and the Frakazi fleet. If it worked, it would swallow the superweapon's energy. If it failed, Eliza pushed the thought aside. Failure was not an option. As the Frakazi weapon powered up, casting an ominous glow across the sky, Earth's defenses realigned. The gravity well generators poured out more power than ever before, bending space itself to their will. For a moment, it seemed as if the fabric of reality was being torn apart. A pitch-black sphere appeared in space, growing rapidly. The Frakazi superweapon fired, its energy lancing towards Earth, only to be caught in the intense gravitational pull of the artificial singularity. The resulting explosion was like nothing humanity had ever witnessed. For a brief, terrifying moment, it seemed as if the entire solar system would be consumed. But as quickly as it had appeared, the singularity collapsed in on itself, taking the brunt of the blast with it. In the stunned silence that followed, Eliza and her team watched as the Frakazi fleet fell into disarray. Their superweapon destroyed, their tactics countered at every turn, the alien invaders began to retreat. They're leaving, Jenkins whispered, disbelief evident in his voice. We did it. We actually did it. A cheer went up in Starshield Command, quickly spreading across the globe as the news of victory spread. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged triumphant. As the celebration raged around her, Eliza found a quiet moment to reflect. They had done more than just win a battle. They had proven themselves on a galactic stage. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril, but one thing was clear. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. The age of Earth's isolation was over. A new chapter in human history had begun. A new era for Earth. In the months following the Frakazi invasion, Earth underwent a transformation unlike any in its history. The scars of battle were still visible in many cities, but alongside the reconstruction efforts, a new sense of purpose and unity had taken hold of humanity. Dr. Eliza Chen stood at the podium in the United Nations General Assembly, preparing to address not just the representatives of Earth's nations, but a much wider audience. Thanks to the quantum entanglement communicators, her words would be broadcast instantaneously across the solar system, where fledgling human colonies were already taking root. My fellow citizens of Earth and her colonies, Eliza began, her voice steady and clear. 1 year ago, we faced a threat that could have ended our civilization. We were given a choice: to accept protection and subservience, or to stand on our own, risking everything for the right to determine our own destiny. She paused, looking out at the sea of faces before her. We chose to stand, and in doing so, we discovered strengths we never knew we possessed. We unlocked secrets of the universe that have propelled us forward by centuries, if not millennia. Holographic displays flickered to life around the assembly hall, showing images of Earth's new achievements. Gravity manipulation engines powering clean, efficient cities, space elevators stretching into the sky, making orbital travel as common as crossing an ocean. Terraforming projects turning the red sands of Mars green. But our greatest achievement, Eliza continued, was not technological. It was the unity we found in the face of adversity. We set aside old rivalries and prejudices, recognizing that our shared humanity was more important than any differences. She gestured to the displays, which now showed a new image. Earth's first faster-than-light spacecraft, the HSS Unity, nearing completion in its orbital dock. This ship represents the culmination of our efforts and the beginning of a new journey. With it, we will be able to explore beyond our solar system, to seek out the Orcs and other civilizations, to take our place in the galactic community. The assembly hall erupted in applause, a sentiment echoed in gatherings across the globe and beyond. Humanity's expansion into space had ignited a new age of exploration and discovery, reigniting the pioneering spirit that had driven their ancestors. As the cheers died down, Eliza's expression grew more serious. But we must not forget the lessons of our recent past. The universe is vast and filled with wonders, yes, but also with dangers. We must move forward with caution and wisdom, balancing our curiosity with prudence. She took a deep breath, preparing to make an announcement that would shape the course of human history. That is why, with the support of the United Nations and the newly formed Solar Coalition, I am proud to announce the establishment of the Terran Exploratory and Diplomatic Corps. Murmurs of excitement rippled through the crowd as Eliza explained the new organization's purpose. The TEDC would be responsible for humanity's first contacts with alien civilizations, for scientific exploration of new worlds, and for representing Earth's interests on the galactic stage. We stand at the threshold of a new era, Eliza said, her voice filled with emotion. An era where the stars are no longer distant points of light, but destinations within our reach. An era where humanity's potential is limited only by our imagination and our will to achieve. As she concluded her speech, Eliza felt a profound sense of hope and responsibility. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges they could scarcely imagine. But she had faith in humanity's ability to adapt, to innovate, and to persevere. Later that evening, as the celebrations continued around the world, Eliza found a quiet moment alone on the observation deck of the orbital station where the ceremony had been held. Earth hung below, a beautiful blue marble against the backdrop of space. "Quite a view, isn't it?" a familiar voice said behind her. Eliza turned to see Jenkins, now Dr. Jenkins, approaching with 2 glasses of champagne. She smiled, accepting one of the glasses. "It never gets old," she agreed. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping their drinks and contemplating the planet below. "Do you ever wonder what's out there?" Jenkins asked softly. "Beyond our solar system, I mean, what we might find." Eliza nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars. "All the time. That's what drives us, isn't it? The need to know, to understand, to explore, and to prove ourselves," Jenkins added with a grin. "To show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Eliza laughed, raising her glass in a toast. "To humanity's future among the stars." As their glasses clinked together, a shooting star streaked across the Earth's atmosphere far below. To Eliza, it seemed like a promise, a glimpse of the adventures that awaited them in the vast, unknown reaches of space. The journey that had begun with a forgotten probe signal had led humanity to the brink of a new frontier. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Eliza knew that the human spirit, resilient, innovative, and unyielding, would rise to meet them. The stars were calling, and humanity was ready to answer.